I still remember clearly the moment Ryan announced that he was going to marry Sophia Reynolds. A flood of complex emotions washed over me: happiness, anxiety, and a nameless fear. Sophia, a girl from the powerful Beverly Hills Reynolds family, where money and reputation are the ultimate measure of all values, was about to become my daughter-in-law. I wondered if Ryan loved her for who she truly was, or merely for the glow of her family's status. I sat in my small apartment in the Mission District, looking out over the foggy morning streets, telling myself I needed to see the truth before it was too late. I couldn't let Ryan step into a marriage where love was only skin deep. I also didn't want Sophia to be completely controlled by her parents, Linda and Charles Reynolds, who always measured people by wealth and social standing. Part of me wanted to speak honestly with Sophia, but another part urged me to observe, to see who she really was. And then I made my decision. I would play the role of someone poor, live simply, and appear before her family as an ordinary person. No showing off, no flaunting wealth, just enough to reveal her true nature. I knew Sophia would try to impress me, her future mother-in-law, but I also understood that her parents, Linda and Charles Reynolds, would scrutinize me with judgmental eyes. They didn't know my real wealth and power. I wondered, at the upcoming dinner, where Sophia's loyalty would lie: with her parents, with Ryan, or would she get swept up in the tests I hadn't yet fully seen? I took a deep breath, staring at the Golden Gate Bridge in the early morning fog, where the first sunlight reflected off the water. Beautiful, but cold, just like the looks I imagined would meet me at dinner. Part of me was afraid that my plan would fail, that Sophia might not be genuine, but another part of me was excited. Finally, the truth would be revealed, and all of us, Ryan, Sophia, and the Reynolds family, would have to face reality. I told myself, Elaine, this isn't just a test for Sophia. This is a lesson for Ryan and for yourself. Be strong, observe, and don't fear the truth. The next day, I began downsizing every sign of wealth in my daily life. The penthouse I once rented on Telegraph Hill was now just a memory. I moved to a small apartment in the Mission District, where brick streets, cozy cafes, and the sound of bicycles created a sense of normalcy. I bought a few simple, neutral-colored outfits, no elaborate jewelry. I even swapped my luxury leather bags for a small, plain satchel, a completely ordinary Elaine. Ryan looked at me with a mix of curiosity and worry. "Mom, why are you so simple now?" I smiled, gently patting his shoulder. "Just trying it out, Ryan. Sometimes being ordinary is worth experiencing once." He laughed, though a trace of worry lingered in his eyes. I knew Ryan didn't yet know my plan, and I didn't intend to let him interfere. This was my test, to see who Sophia really was, and whether their love was strong enough to withstand her family's pressure. In the days leading up to the dinner, I observed Sophia through conversations and messages with Ryan. She was always polite and gentle, but I noticed a hint of hesitation in her eyes when she mentioned her parents. I wondered, would Sophia dare to stand up for love, or would she be swept up in the unwritten rules of the Reynolds family, where money and power were the only measures of worth? As the dinner approached, I felt my pulse quicken with anticipation. I was about to enter the Beverly Hills mansion, where gilded walls and impeccably uniformed servants constantly reminded me of the disparity. I sighed, telling myself to stay calm. Entering the mansion, I maintained a composed demeanor. A simple navy dress, hair loose and natural, no standout jewelry. I introduced myself, politely and gently. Looking into Linda's eyes, I immediately saw the scrutiny, searching for signs of wealth or poverty. Charles sat at the head of the table, slightly disdainful, smirking when I mentioned my ordinary job, described in such a way that revealed nothing of my true status. Sophia sat beside Ryan, holding his hand, her eyes full of concern. I could see she was trying to impress me, her future mother-in-law. But at the same time, she was under pressure from her parents to please them, while her heart leaned toward Ryan. I understood that feeling because I had faced similar pressures in my life. The dinner began with questions that seemed friendly, but were laced with judgment. What's your job? How much do you earn? What investments do you have? Each question could make an ordinary person feel small, but I stayed calm, answering politely, without revealing any hint of wealth. I watched Sophia. She nodded, smiled, sometimes remained silent. I noticed moments when she wanted to speak up, but feared contradicting her parents. In those moments, I understood. Sophia wasn't yet confident enough to defend herself, but she wasn't fake or selfish. She was in the process of finding her own voice, and this dinner would be the most important test. Ryan sat beside me, forcing a smile, but I knew he felt awkward. He loved Sophia, but he also loved his mother, and now both were caught in a tense game I had created. While Linda and Charles pressed with their looks and pointed questions, I silently told myself, be patient. Everything will reveal itself. Money doesn't define a person, and their behavior will show their true character. I shared a few ordinary stories about work and life, keeping a calm tone with a hint of humor to ease the tension. Sophia began to relax, smiling softly, and I sensed that she was observing, learning how to navigate between two worlds, family pressure and genuine love. Minute by minute, the dinner went on, and I felt my heart race as I watched Sophia exchange hopeful glances with Ryan. I knew that by the end of the evening, all truths would be exposed, not because I wanted to punish anyone, but so that all of us, Ryan, Sophia, and the Reynolds family, could see reality clearly. I reminded myself inwardly, Elaine, this isn't just a test for Sophia. This is a lesson for Ryan and for yourself. Be strong, observe, and don't fear the truth. When I stepped into the main dining room of the Reynolds mansion, a heavy feeling immediately settled over me. The long dining table, polished walnut wood, soft golden light falling on every intricate detail, I immediately noticed Linda's scrutinizing gaze. She sat upright, hands resting on her elegant dress, lips curling into a smile, but I knew that smile was not friendly. It was a challenge. Charles sat at the head of the table, relaxed yet slightly disdainful, as if every gesture I made was being evaluated, worthy or not. Sophia sat next to Ryan, holding a glass of water, her eyes following my every reaction. I understood she was tense, but didn't yet know how to stand up for herself. Ryan, sitting beside her, glanced at me from time to time, then back to his parents, his expression uneasy. I smiled lightly, just enough to give him a hint of calm while staying alert for the probing questions and judging eyes that were sure to come. Dinner began with questions that seemed polite, but I knew their intent. "What do you do, Elaine?" Linda asked, her voice soft but sharp as a knife. "I consult on various projects for local businesses, mainly management and strategy," I replied truthfully, without revealing a single detail about the tech company I ran. Charles snorted, leaning back in his chair. So your income is modest, I suppose." His tone dripped with implication. I smiled and nodded. "We live comfortably, nothing extravagant. But I believe the important thing is to be happy with what you have." Linda arched her eyebrow, smiling quietly, yet her eyes continued to probe. I recognized immediately they were testing me, seeing if I could stay composed under subtle contempt. Sophia beside Ryan trembled slightly, but her smile remained genuine. I saw her awkwardness under her parents' questions, yet she maintained politeness. My heart ached.
Sophia wasn't yet strong, but she was neither fake nor scheming. Charles continued, "And Ryan, can he really take care of my daughter when our family is used to high standards?" His tone was part challenge, part sarcasm, clearly trying to test both Ryan and me. Ryan blushed, looking at me, then forcing a smile. "He always puts family first, sir." I felt my heart rate quicken. I knew this dinner would be long, and this was the moment when true values would reveal themselves. I chose to remain calm, speaking gently but directly. Family is important, but I believe respect and compassion are at the core. Money and status cannot replace that. Linda paused for a second, then offered a forced smile. "True, but, in modern life, sometimes we have to consider many things." I nodded quietly, inwardly prepared. No one would judge me by appearances or by the life I chose to lead. Sophia let out a soft sigh, glancing at Ryan then at me. I saw her weighing her options, stand with her parents or stand with Ryan and herself. In that moment, I realized Sophia was growing right in front of us, even if she hadn't noticed it yet. The dinner continued with questions about investments, income, and social connections. Charles deliberately asked, half joking, half testing, "Elaine, do you know any celebrities? It must take something special to have Ryan choose you." I smiled faintly, replying, "I believe Ryan chose Sophia for his heart, not for outside connections, and I feel the same way." Linda smiled, yet her eyes still shimmered with scrutiny. I could feel the tension in the room, but I stayed calm, observing every reaction, every gesture. Sophia began to breathe more evenly, whispering to Ryan, "Ryan's mom, she's very different, not at all like my parents described. He really is someone special." I smiled faintly, a warmth spreading strangely within me. This was the moment I realized Sophia was learning to see people, not money or status. As dinner neared the end, I noticed that Linda and Charles still didn't fully understand. They looked down on me in their usual way, but I knew the truth would soon emerge. Part of me felt exhausted, but another part felt at peace. I had stood in my rightful place, maintaining my values and self-respect. Dinner ended with polite goodbyes, but in my heart, I knew the real test had just begun. Sophia would have to confront her own family, and I would witness the choices that would determine the future of Ryan and her. On the drive home, I looked out the car window at the twinkling Beverly Hills lights, beautiful yet cold. I told myself, some truths have already been revealed. Now it's time to wait and see Sophia and her parents' true reactions. The truth will come out, and I will know who she really is.
The tension from dinner hadn't yet settled when the final, crucial moment arrived. I took a deep breath, feeling my heart pounding in my chest. Throughout the meal, I had watched every glance, every gesture of Sophia, her parents, and Ryan. I had seen clearly Sophia was sincere, Ryan honest, but her parents, Linda and Charles, still judged me by superficial standards. When the last course was cleared, Charles let out a half-joking, half-sarcastic comment. "Elaine, you are very modest, but I guess there's not much behind that simplicity, right?" I lifted the corner of my mouth in a calm but sharp smile. "Charles, I won't deny that my appearance is simple at the moment, but this simplicity is a choice, not a lack." Linda arched an eyebrow, her eyes sparkling with scrutiny. "Oh, really? I thought Ryan chose you simply because you seemed just right for him. Not rich, not outstanding." I emphasized each word, voice firm. "No, Linda, Ryan chose me because he loves me, not because of money or status. And today, I am here to see everyone clearly. Who cares about a person's true value and who only looks at numbers and outward glitz?" Sophia turned to me, eyes wide, a mixture of surprise and worry. "Mom, you're..." "Yes, Sophia, I'm revealing the truth. I am not poor. I am the CEO of a tech company in San Francisco, a company I built from scratch. I have wealth, power, but today I appeared simply to see who truly looks at the person and who only sees the numbers and the glamour. The dining room fell silent, so quiet I could hear the ticking of a clock. Charles stammered, "What? You are a CEO?" Linda's eyes widened as she tried to mask her shock with a forced smile. This must be. I paused for a moment, letting everyone absorb the truth. Then I continued, calm yet incisive. Money does not define a person's value. It is how we treat others, respect, and compassion that create dignity. The way you looked at me, the sarcastic questions you asked, all revealed your true character. Sophia began to cry, but not out of surprise. She cried because she realized the difference between her parents and Ryan, between her family's rigid standards and the genuine love Ryan had for her. Ryan held my hand, voice choked with emotion. "Mom, I've never seen the truth so clearly. I I'm proud of you." Linda and Charles fumbled, trying to justify themselves. We just wanted to see if you fit into our family." I cut them off, voice decisive. Fit in? Dignity and respect aren't measured by status or wealth. Your behavior and attitude have spoken for themselves. I do not need to justify myself. You need to look at yourselves. Sophia wiped her tears, looking directly at her parents. "Father, Mother, I didn't realize I had been swept up in your perspective all this time. I don't want to continue like that anymore." Charles flushed, lips moving without words. Linda looked down, still not fully comprehending what had happened. I exhaled, sitting back, feeling both exhausted and peaceful. Finally, all the truth had been revealed. I had seen the true nature of Sophia's parents, of my future daughter-in-law, and above all, I saw Ryan, my son, still holding on to an honest heart. Sophia held Ryan's hand, voice trembling but sincere. I'm sorry, Ryan's mom. I never wanted anyone to be hurt. I want to learn to live humbly, freely, and not be dictated by what my parents deem important." I smiled, feeling an unusual sense of peace. Every test, every pressure, every doubt, everything had been exposed. I had done the right thing, not out of pride or ego, but for true values: love, honesty, and respect between people. Ryan breathed a sigh of relief, and Sophia cried, this time tears of genuine emotion. I knew this was just the first step, but this step would open the path for them to understand each other and for Sophia to see the world differently, through eyes unclouded by money and status. I stood, walked to the balcony, looking out over San Francisco at night. The lights shimmered on the bay, beautiful yet cold. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. My heart was at peace. Now I know it is not money or status, but compassion, sincerity, and true love that create a person's real value. And in that moment, I felt it clearly. The challenge had succeeded. The truth was revealed, and the final light shone directly into the hidden corners of the Reynolds family. The next morning, I woke up in my small Mission District apartment, sunlight spilling through the window, but my mind was still spinning from the events of last night's dinner. I took a sip of coffee, exhaled deeply, feeling both exhausted and relieved. All tests had been run, all truths laid bare, and now it was time to observe the aftermath. My phone buzzed. It was Ryan. I answered, hearing the tremor in his voice. "Mom, about last night? Thank you. I understand so much now. I've seen Sophia's parents, and I can see that you were right all along." I smiled, keeping my tone calm. "Son, don't harbor resentment towards Sophia's parents. See this as a lesson.
You and Sophia are standing between two worlds, one of wealth and status, and one of love and integrity. Realizing this early is the most important thing." Ryan sighed, then continued. "I've talked to them, Mom. I told them directly that their behavior was unacceptable, and I set clear boundaries. I, I've never felt this kind of confidence within myself before." My heart warmed. Ryan had grown, not just in love, but in his ability to recognize true human value. A little later, Sophia called. Her voice trembled, tinged with remorse and emotion. "Mom Elaine, I'm sorry. Yesterday, I got swept up in how my parents view everything. I didn't realize I was influenced too. But now, I want to learn to live humbly, honestly, and freely." I smiled gently. "Sophia, you don't need to blame yourself. Everyone has their own limits. The important thing is to recognize them and move beyond them. Now you see, and that is more precious than any possession." She cried, but this time they were genuine tears, not the rehearsed kind. I heard sincerity, awakening, and a desire for change in her voice. Meanwhile, I also noticed an interesting truth. Linda and Charles still hadn't fully grasped the lesson. They might feel embarrassed or confused, but long-standing habits around money and power don't disappear overnight. Yet I also knew that Sophia was now mature enough to face it, and Ryan would stand by her, a steady support. I walked to the park near my home, where the morning mist still blurred the streets. Sitting on a bench, I watched people pass by, couples holding hands, and thought to myself, everyone creates their own measure of value, but wealth doesn't define dignity. It's how we live and treat each other that defines us. An elderly woman sitting beside me, her smile kind, suddenly said, "People often create the wrong measures of value. Money is just a tool. It's never the essence." I looked at her, feeling as if all of life's lessons had converged in that single sentence. Indeed, every trial, every worry, every tension led to one ultimate lesson. True value isn't in what can be seen, but in how we live and the sincerity of our hearts. Later, Ryan and Sophia came to visit me. Ryan laughed, hugging me tightly. "Mom, today I feel more at peace than ever. I've talked with Sophia about everything. We'll move forward, but this time with understanding and mutual respect." Sophia stood beside him, her voice soft. "Thank you, Mom Aline. I've learned more than I ever imagined. I won't forget this lesson." I hugged them both, feeling their heartbeats, and realized one thing. The challenge had been fulfilled. Words weren't necessary. Their eyes, gestures, and sincerity said it all. As the afternoon faded, I stood watching the sunset over Mission Bay. The light reflected on the water, shimmering and warm. In that quiet moment, I understood that true wealth isn't in possessions or power, but in peace, compassion, and genuine relationships. All worries, doubts, and pressures had vanished. I smiled, my heart full of trust and hope. The lesson had been learned, and the family, though still with much to grow, had crossed an important threshold: awareness of true human value. I knew many challenges still lay ahead, but now I felt ready, not to test anyone, but to live true to my own nature, and to see those around me follow the light of truth, sincerity, and compassion.
The next day, Ryan called me earlier than usual. His voice was excited, but still slightly shaky. "Mom, today I confronted Sophia's parents. I told them directly that the way they treated you was unacceptable. I feel incredibly relieved." I smiled softly, warmth spreading through me. "Son, that's the first step. Sometimes awakening doesn't come from words alone, but from action.
and from standing up for what's right. Ryan exhaled, his voice firm with determination. I told them that we, Sophia and I, will set clear boundaries. They can't interfere in our lives by judging people based on money or status anymore. I sensed the maturity in his voice. Ryan was no longer the timid young man in front of a powerful family. He had learned to see the truth, to see the real value in people. Less than an hour later, Sophia called. Her voice trembled, yet it carried strength. Mom, Elaine, I'm standing with Ryan. I'm no longer afraid of my parents. I see their arrogance and dominance clearly. I feel incredibly relieved. I smiled, my gaze gentle. Sophia, you did the right thing. Fear is instinct, but courage is a choice, and you chose rightly. Sometimes sons and daughters must stand up to protect themselves and those they love. Sophia exhaled as if a weight had lifted. I've seen my parents clearly. They've gone through hardships, but the way they imposed their obsession with money on me made everything harsh. I'm sorry for staying silent for so long. I nodded. It's okay. Sophia, time will teach them lessons. But the important thing is that you recognize the difference and are ready to protect yourself. That is worth more than any wealth. Ryan and Sophia decided to meet her parents again, this time with preparation and new determination. When they returned, Sophia's eyes shone brighter and Ryan radiated confidence. Both stood tall, speaking with clarity. Father, Mother, we appreciate everything you've done, but judging others by money and status is unacceptable. We want to build our lives based on love and sincerity. Linda blushed, trying to mask her embarrassment with a calm smile, but her eyes betrayed her discomfort. Charles looked down, slightly awkward, as if realizing he had been overly domineering. Sophia continued, I've realized so much, and this time I won't let my parents' obsessions control me. I choose to stand with Ryan, protecting our love and the values that matter most. I watched the entire scene from outside the window, my heart swelling with pride. Sophia wasn't just awakened. She faced her parents' limits with strength. Ryan had matured too, no longer hesitant, but daring to defend the values he believed in. After the confrontation, I walked through the nearby park. Morning mist still blurred the streets, but in my mind, everything was bright. I met an elderly woman on a bench, her smile kind. She said, People create the wrong measures of value. Money and power are just tools. They're not dignity. I nodded, feeling her words as a reminder. The challenge had succeeded, but life would bring many more tests. The key is to stand firm and protect the right values. When Ryan and Sophia returned to the apartment, they smiled at me, their eyes full of trust and gratitude. Ryan said, Mom, today I feel that we truly stand together with faith and love. Thank you for giving us this valuable lesson. Sophia, hugging me, whispered, I won't forget you, Mommy Lane. I've learned how to see people, appreciate true value, and live humbly yet freely. I took a deep breath, looking out at San Francisco glittering in the sunset. My heart was at peace. I knew the awakening had come. Sophia and Ryan had recognized true value, stood up for themselves and their love, laying the foundation for a life of sincerity and freedom. And I smiled, knowing the challenge was complete. Not to punish, but to educate. to teach them to recognize the most precious things: genuine love, honesty, and mutual respect.
The next day, I received a call from Sophia. Her voice trembled, yet it was sincere. "Mom Elaine, I want to see you. I I need to apologize, not with jewelry or fancy clothes, but with my heart." I smiled, a wave of relief washing over me. I knew Sophia had taken the first step toward awakening. She wasn't coming out of pressure or appearances, but to speak from the heart. When she entered the apartment, I immediately noticed the change in her eyes. Less worry, less hesitation, replaced by sincerity and humility. She wore no makeup, just a simple dress, her hair naturally down. That simplicity, after yesterday's events, revealed real courage. Sophia sat beside me, her voice shaky but firm. "Mom Elaine, yesterday I realized so much. My parents were once poor, but their obsession with money made them harsh. I'm sorry for letting that affect my love and the way I treated Ryan and you." I gently placed my hand over hers, my voice soft. "Sophia, you don't need to blame yourself. Experiences are how we learn. What matters is that you recognize what's right and have the courage to change." She took a deep breath, exclaiming, "I want to learn to live humbly and freely. I want to walk with Ryan, not because of money or pressure, but for love and sincerity. I hope you can forgive me and trust me." I smiled, feeling a profound peace. "Sophia, I trust you, and I've also learned from you, from the way you faced the truth and admitted your mistakes. We can start a new chapter where love and compassion guide us." We embraced a genuine hug, no pretense or hesitation. I felt the bond between a mother and her future daughter-in-law forming, rooted in honesty and respect. Ryan stepped in, smiling, his eyes shining with happiness. "Mom, Sophia has spoken from her heart. We can build a family together based on love and honesty." I looked at both of them, my heart full of trust. The challenge had been completed. All conflicts had been resolved at their core. We had learned that true wealth isn't in possessions, but in the heart and genuine relationships. That afternoon, I walked along Mission Bay, watching the sunset reflect on the water. The warm, tranquil light mirrored my own heart, peaceful, richer than ever. I reminded myself, everyone has the right to experience life, face the truth, and learn to love unconditionally. Sophia stood beside me, gazing at the bay, whispering, "Mom Elaine, I know I still have much to learn, but now I feel freer, humbler, and more appreciative of what truly matters." I nodded, my eyes soft. "You are on the right path, and you will see that happiness isn't measured by money or power, but by heart, sincerity, and compassion." Ryan took Sophia's hand, looking at me with a smile. "Mom, today we feel truly rich, not in wealth, but in understanding each other and genuine love." I smiled, my heart warm. Every challenge, every 10th dinner, every conflict, all had become invaluable lessons. I knew that Sophia and Ryan were ready to step into a new chapter, and so was I. A life of peace, kindness, and love. If you're watching this story, remember, true value isn't in money, status, or appearances, but in the heart, honesty, and the way you treat others. Ask yourself, are you judging others by what's on the surface? Do you have the courage to stand up for your own values and those you love? If this story inspires you, share it with your loved ones. Hit like and follow the channel so together we can spread the message of true love, compassion, and humility in modern life. And don't forget, every challenge you face is an opportunity to see the true value in yourself and others. Live authentically, live sincerely, and cherish what truly matters.